Today, I want to cover the different anatomical positions or just the positions that you're going to get the athletes in. We're going to cover just a few uh, coaching points towards those, so that way, whenever you see an athlete in this position, even if you don't know exactly the exercise that they're about to do, you're still going to be able to coach them up in various ways to help them get the setup of that position good. All right. So what we're going to start off with is a hook lying position. So what a hook lying position is bend the knee, go ahead and do this to the other leg, is this right here. All right, so you're going to have the athlete laying down on their back, their feet up, their legs are going to be just like this. Okay, you want to think about the feet being firmly on the ground. So don't. Sometimes you'll see it to where they pull their toes up, especially with like a glute bridge, right? A lot of the times they'll pull their toes up and just push through their heels. We don't want that. Okay, keep a the full foot in contact with the ground. From here, you want to think about them smashing their low back into the ground, right? So if we want to think more about a hip tuck, right? So that way this low back right here will smash down into my hand. There you go. If you noticed, right, his core right there went like this, okay? So those are a few coaching points with this. It doesn't matter the exercise, it does not matter what's going on. Whenever they get into a position like this right here, those are what you want to think about. Full foot down on the ground, go ahead and crunch the core, or think about that low back smashing into the ground. If they want to think about it from a hip tuck perspective, they can. This is what we're going for, okay? And then you want to think about a long spine the entire time. So if someone were to take the top of their head and their tailbone and stretch like this right here, that's what you want to think about. All right, next is going to be a supine position. What a supine position is you're just going to straighten out your legs just like that. Lay flat, right? So laying flat down on your back is a supine position. Whenever we're in this position, right, depending on what's going on, then you want to think about, one, go ahead and get that core crunch just a little bit, just like that right there. Then from here, with your heels, go ahead and push your heels away, just like that. Whenever you get somebody into a supine position, those are a couple of key things that are a few things that you want to think about with that. The next one is going to be a prone position. So with a prone position, you're going to be on your stomach. Yeah, so now let's just take, for instance, that he's going to do a prone single arm Y. All right, so go ahead and slide off to the side. His shoulder's going to hang off. Again, the prone position is where you're laying down on your stomach. So a couple of things that you want to take into account is how much curvature do they have in their low back. If they have a lot of curvature in their low back, then you want to think about them getting a hip tuck. Can you go in and tuck your hips right here? If you notice, that took some curvature out of their low back, okay? Now, if you get, excuse me right there, if you get somebody that has a lot of curvature down there or lordosis, then what I like to do is I'll grab a pillow. I'll grab a pillow like this right here, and you want to get it to where the top of the hip, so I'm going to roll this up just a little bit more. Yeah, about right there. You want to get it to where the bottom of the pillow is right there at the top of the hip, so that way it promotes a hip tuck, okay? So like right here, hip tuck, all right? That's going to get their spine into a good position, and that's going to help have a chain reaction up the chain, so that way he gets better low trap activation with this exercise. But these are just some few things that you want to think about in that prone position. All right, get their hips in a neutral position, get that spine looking good, so that way they can perform the exercise better. Another one that I also like to do in this one is like a Blackburn Big 3. So if you go and slide over just a little bit more, this way, in the middle, yep. Now, you just go ahead and take both arms, go into a T, yep. So right here, go ahead and pinch your shoulder blades together a little bit more. You relax. Yeah, just relax, relax, relax. You see how much further you got retraction right there? That's what I want you to think about with that other one. There you go. Much better. All right. Again, if he does something like this as well, we want to think in the prone position, hips tucked, neutral spine coming up. All right. All right. Go ahead and get out of there, Nate. Good. Next is going to be a seated position. Okay. So in a seated position, let me make sure that this is going to be on camera. Yes, it is. All right, good. anything from a seated position, we want to make sure that both feet are firmly on the ground. All right. Then from here, you want the hips and the knees at about a 90. All right. So we don't want them to pull their heel back close to them. You want it to be heel underneath the knees. All right. Then from here, you want to get a tall spine. So just think big chest the entire time. And this is going to be for pretty much every exercise that's in a seated position. Like let's say we do a seated or a seated car, right? Shoulder car. Well, right there, you're going to get tall, right? You're going to have both hands out in front of you. And then from here, you're going to get a little bit of curvature in your upper back, but you're still going to think about having a long spine throughout that process. I like to think about it kind of like a puppet string being on the back side of the head, and you're going to pull that puppet string up to the ceiling, so that way the back of your head goes straight, okay? All right, and then another thing is go ahead and act like you're going to grab a ball with your stomach, okay? So whenever you're trying to grab a ball with your stomach, try to think about that right there while still staying tall through the spine. All right, that's that seated position. Next. Okay, next is going to be half kneeling. Okay, so in the half kneeling position, thank you. Good. So this is the half kneeling position. Let me make sure that we're getting that on the thing. In the half kneeling position, you're going to have one knee down on the ground, okay, and you're going to think about a power L back here. So if you notice from his heel coming up, it's an L shape. Then from here with this front leg, you're also going to think you're going to have this front heel underneath the knee. So right there, just like such. Okay, so if you notice 90, 90, then you're going to think about grabbing that ball with your stomach or just tucking your hips under. As you tuck your hips under, then you're still going to get long through the upper back. Think about that puppet string. That's one that I really like that seems to catch on to a lot of people. And then from here, you can perform any type of action, whether that be a row, a landmine overhead press, you know, things like that. This is that half kneeling position. Next is going to be a tall kneeling position. So all he's going to do is take this knee, go back down to the ground. Good. Then from here, yes, toes firmly planted on the ground. With these back legs in the half kneeling and the tall kneeling position, you want that toe firmly into the ground, okay? That's going to help with your base of support, with your stability, things like that, okay? Then from here, you want to go ahead and push your hips forward. Good. And then get long. Yep. In a tall kneeling, you always want to try to get as big as possible or just as tall as possible, okay? You still want those hips to stay tucked. If you can, go ahead and push your hips a little bit more forward if you can. Good. And then you want to limit the curvature in the low back or the lordosis in that low back, all right? And stay long. And then from here, you can perform all types of stuff, whether it be a row, med ball slam, whatever it is that the action is that's coming after this position, okay? Then next, what we're going to do is just a standing, so go ahead and stand up. So face the camera. All right, so it can either be just a regular standing, a side standing, a wide stance, or just a bilateral, okay? Depending on what the exercise is, all of those are kind of the same thing, right? One, you're just going to have a wide stance. The other one, you're going to be more narrow, like think of kind of like a squat stance, all right? Another one is going to be like your side standing one, so with a side standing, face that way. Yep, and then your feet are going to be a little bit closer together, but it'll be side standing. So like let's say the cable's right here, right? You're going to be side standing to it, so that way you can do like an external rotation, right? Things like that. Okay, so go ahead and face the camera. With this one, again, you want to think about keeping a neutral spine, so kind of tuck your hips under and then get tall, right? And you want to stay that way the whole time. If you're going to do a squat or something like that to where you're going to start to do a lot of compressive forces or just getting under heavy load, then you want to start to think about the low ribs kind of coming out to the side, right? So that way you get 360 expansion throughout that core as you're about to do the motion. That goes for a lot of other things as well, all right? After this, then we got a stagger stance or a B stance. So if you want to face that way, yeah. So what a stagger stance is you're going to go ahead and put one foot in front of the other. You don't want to get way back there, but you want just a little bit of space. And then what you're going to do is with the back leg, go ahead and come up on your toes. Just on the back leg. Yep. So like this right here. There you go. It's because what I want is everything's going to be done through this front leg. That back leg is just for balance. All right. It's not there to put force through the ground or anything. Obviously, as things start to get a little bit heavier, you're going to put a little bit more force through it. But for the most part, everything is happening from this front leg, and we want to keep it that way. So right here, you're going to think about staying tall, trying to be stay tall throughout the ankle all the way up through the top of the head, and then whether it be an RDL or anything like that, that's what you're going to perform whenever it comes time for the action. But with the initial setup, that's what we're going for right here. All right. Next is going to be a split stance. So with a split stance, what that is you're going to go ahead and put one foot in front of the other. Yep. Now take this back leg. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So now go ahead and take this back leg a little bit further back. More. Good, right about there. Now push into that front knee a little bit more, and then you're going to think about a straight line from this back heel coming up to the top of the head, right? So with this, you're going to kind of be just a little bit leaned out, right? And think of a straight line going all the way up through to the front side. Good. You want to think about tucking the hips. So with this one, if you notice right here, his hip is kind of open. If you think of a gate, right, the gate is kind of open right here. You always want to think about that gate being closed the entire time, okay? Now straighten out that back leg again as you're coming up. Good. This is the split stance, all right? You want to lean into that front knee, straight line from the back heel coming all the way up. Keep the gate closed, all right? And then from here, you can implement or do any action, okay? Whether that's a row, overhead press, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Next is going to be a split squat position. So with a split squat position, what that is you're going to get into a split stance, except now you're going to squat down. So go ahead and squat down lower. Good. Now, from here, what you're going to think about is this front leg being at a 90. So if you could push your hips back just a little bit, there we go. Now try to get more upright. Tuck those hips. There it is. Good. Now close that gate. Here we go. So if you notice, this front leg's at a 90, this back leg is at a power L or 90 degrees, okay? We don't want them to be too far stretched out, or we don't want to be too close together, right? So go ahead and take this front leg and push it forward. I know it, yeah, it is, yeah, it's hard. So move this front leg forward. There we go. See how the knees are close together, right? We don't want this, all right? So you want to get enough space to where both legs are at a 90. So go ahead and scoot that back leg back again. Back, 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 back. No, that's forward. So back towards this back leg. Yeah, yeah. A little bit more. Yep, yep. Right there. Now go ahead and get down to the split squat again. Good. Push your hips back. There we go. Tuck the hip. Close the gate. Now we're in a good position right here. He's staying tall, 90 degrees, not too far, not too close together. Okay, now if you want to face the camera and go ahead and do that one more time. Good. From here, you don't want their legs to be in a line, right? So if you notice right here, he's a little bit more narrow, so we're going to take that back leg and scoot it out to the side just a little bit. Good. Now let's go ahead and try that again. Now if you notice, there's a little bit more space here, right? Go ahead and close the hip, tuck it, good, good. And then from here, while keeping his hips in a good position, he can spread his knees. Ooh, I know he just got tired right there. My man. I'll show this one real quick, give you a break. All right, so what I mean by this is right here, as you're down in here, if you notice I have space right here, I can keep my hips in a good, nice, neutral position and then take my knees and spread them or get them closer together, okay? So you want to think about separating the taint and then get those knees to go side to side, all right? Now, that's also going to be a person-to-person thing because sometimes they're, what's going on with the hip structure, things like that, is going to make it to where they need to be a little bit more narrow with their stance, but you never want them to be in a line like this right here. You always want to get a little bit of side-to-side space, okay? Next, what we're going to do is with a lunge. All right, that's the next thing with a lunge. But to be honest with you, the only difference between a lunge and then like the split squat right there is just a lunge is a motion, right? So we're going to stay from an upright position. You're going to lunge forward, sideways, right? That's all the differences. But essentially, whenever you get down into the lunge position, you're just ending in a split squat position, right? And then you're coming back up. Okay, it's just a dynamic split squat essentially. Then single leg. All right, so go ahead and stand up. Yep, face there. You're just going to balance on one leg. Good. It is what you think it is, okay? So now whenever they're balancing, balance starts from the core, all right? So if they have just a real weak core or it's just not activated or anything like that, then one thing I like to do is if they have a hard time balancing on one leg, get that core nice and tight, all right? As you get that core nice and tight, it's going to allow stability and balance throughout the limbs, okay? So then from here, you want to think about, again, a neutral spine or just tucking those hips with your foot. Keep a full foot contact and try to think about 3 points of contact. So right where your big toe is, the knuckle, right underneath there is where you want to think of a point of contact. Your pinky, the pinky knuckle is where you want to think of the point of contact, and then your heel. Press all 3 of those points down into the ground the entire time. And then hold your balance. Whether this be for a single leg overhead med ball catch, right? You want to think about staying tall, push through those 3 points, and then slaying a ball. Whatever the single leg is, okay? Single leg hip circles. So right here, if you want to just do a big circle, again, we're wanting to keep balance through that leg, nice tight core, push down through those 3 points of contact. And those are all the anatomical positions.